Stupid Garbage Podcast.
Oh, I like that. Fine. We're on. I should just get better at, starting them, because I'm pretty sure I always just start them in the middle of a word, or, as I'm crinkling.
Back to the podcast, listeners.
Guess who did show
Had a good weekend. I know I did.
What?
Huh?
You're screaming.
Huh?
The weekend did not start, really?
Not for you.
Okay.
I've been partying since 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
As the kids do say. What were you saying, Jess?
Guess who did show prep today?
I'm gonna guess it's you.
It's me.
Oh, sorry, just threw up in my mouth a little.
Okay, are you okay?
Thinking about you actually doing show prep.
Why would that make you vomit in your mouth?
Because I shudder to think what horrors you've brought to the show.
Surprisingly, none of my questions are directly about serial killers or animals, which are the two topics that I...
What about the crisis of faith that God must have had when he saw you on Earth?
Hey, someone's extra mean.
I'm sorry.
Is it because I didn't get you your juice?
Jessica, I am a man in distress.
He asked me for juice because I was going downstairs, and also you did the
what?
Interrupting me thing.
Jessica, I'm broken on the inside.
Slut. Anyway, so he asked me to bring him his juice, and then he texted me a couple times about it, but my phone was in my pocket on silent. So in his mind, I blatantly ignored him, and he sent me voice recordings, he FaceTimed me, he texted me, and did not receive a response, and he's very upset.
If the glove does not fit, you must acquit. The prosecution will try to tell you O.J. Simpson with a beanie is unrecognizable. That does not fit. You must... It's Droopy Dog defending O.J. Simpson.
No, I know what's happening.
A la Johnny Cochran. That's my impression for the day, folks.
Okay.
2 down, 5 to go. What did you bring to the pod, my darling?
So, I found a bunch...
You must acquit.
I found a bunch of stupid questions that I could ask you. So, don't look, see me.
All right, I will stare straight ahead while you ask me the questions.
And...
You can go rapid fire, lightning round if you want.
I try to do a devil's advocate, but I'm having a lot of trouble with it.
I have another sounder for that if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Here.
Well, the sounder from yesterday wasn't really a thing.
Look, but don't touch.
Okay.
Touch, but don't taste.
Oh, ew.
Taste, don't swallow.
So that's another audio clip from the movie Devil's Advocate, where an Al Pacino, Pacino's brother, spoiler alert, plays the devil. Funny thing about that movie,
sexy.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is a lawyer and he's representing Pacino and learns he's the devil. Halfway through the movie, well, here's the
Sounds good.
Here's the thing. Halfway through the movie, there's this big reveal that Pacino is the devil.
Yeah.
The movie's called Devil's Advocate. We've known all along he's the devil.
Well, it could have been a metaphorical devil.
No,
this man is wrong.
No, it's pretty obvious that he's actually representing the devil.
Okay, well,
It's called Devil's Advocate.
Assuming this was the 90s?
I would say so, or early 2000s, but I would...
it was the sign of the time.
I would think 96, 97.
I would feel a lot more comfortable in my life if we did another movie review. So please, if you're going to shut down all my ideas, at least suggest some movies, because I'm trying here. And I really feel like a movie review is...
That's fair. We could have every 10th episode be a movie review. And if that's the case, we're overdue.
Exactly.
This is episode 28 or 29, and we've only done 2 movie reviews, so...
Two and a half, really.
What was the half?
We split Horse Girl and Something Else Girls.
Lost Girls. Horse Girl.
Yeah.
We also did
and
a very
Cats.
quick... We did an hour on Cats. We also did, though, a quick movie review on the girl on the third story, and also Super 8.
I don't think Super 8 really counts. That was 10 seconds.
Well, we watched the whole... Well, fair enough. We can do another one. I'm not opposed to it.
I would like that.
That's
because
fine.
I feel like we were doing them a lot, and then we kind of teetered off.
So what's...
You know how much I hate teetering?
Yeah, no. Teeter-totter. Teetering on the edge. I think you mean peter off, but that's fine. You're doing your best. No. You meant petered off.
Well...
To teeter is to be off balance.
Yeah, we're teetering.
off.
My sanity is teetering off.
You might be thinking of teeing off, but that
Nope, definitely not teeing off. Anyway,
doesn't really.
so
I'm Tiger Woods.
should I just start with my questions?
Sure. And I will answer them as though I were Tiger Woods.
I was gonna say
teeing off here.
I want to hear. There was one that I was gonna ask you because what is a pet peeve of yours, just like in the world, not specifically?
When I slice the ball,
I don't know. What
my driver catches it, from like a bad angle and it goes off to one direction.
Okay.
That's probably my pet peeve on the course.
Oh, you're Tiger Woods.
Seems to happen a lot at Augusta more than anywhere. I don't know why. I play very well at Augusta, but it's just coming off the tee. I always get a bad. I'm Tiger fucking Woods. It's not like I'm slicing things into trees or anything. But for me, anything less than perfect is really a pet peeve of mine. So.
Hey, if you're gonna answer this as
cheating, backstabbing whore wives.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how is
beat my car with my fucking golf clubs.
Wait, I'm
she
sorry,
doesn't even know how to fucking
is the
play.
cheater in this situation?
No, not the cheater, just the whore.
Okay, well maybe if you don't sleep with a bunch of other women, this wouldn't be an issue for you. So
I might agree with you. I don't think it makes her entitled to $500 million.
Well, if you
married her goddamn money that I earned by being the best golfer in the history of the planet.
Okay, well if you married her, you should have gotten a prenup. That's your own damn fault.
What's her handicap?
What?
She wants to earn $500 million via golf. She can go out and she can golf a goddamn 62 and a round of the Masters.
You signed a prenup. Don't. You're in the
fucking
wrong
whore.
here. Don't.
All right, what are the questions? Sorry.
Are you gonna answer them honestly, or are you gonna answer them as Tiger Woods?
I'll answer them as me.
What's a pet peeve you have about the world?
About the world?
Yeah, like not specifically like, oh, I hate it when Jess chews really loudly or whatever. Like something just
The goddamn Dominicans.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know.
No, that's fine.
People playing music loudly on public transport. Most often Dominicans, but that's more coincidence than anything.
I have had a couple times
don't mean that to be targeted.
When I am there have been a couple times where I've been working 14-hour days, and I'm coming home on the train and I'm fucking exhausted, and there are people that are just FaceTiming people.
Sure.
Right next to me, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to sleep. It's 11:30 at night, and we just got on the train. Can you please? My head is hurting. This was
usually
one specific instance, but it just really tipped me over the edge.
Yeah, in that scenario, I usually look over their shoulder and try and join in the call, and I find that they usually go to a different train car.
I literally stared at her, and she kept on looking over at me, and then we kept on making eye contact. I was very blatantly trying to make her feel uncomfortable, and she would not.
I have the advantage as a guy. I can get a clear train or bus anytime I want. I can just start jerking off, and everyone leaves.
Well, it was funny because I was going to be a lot more rude.
Advantage, rather. Yep.
But, I could also just, make a scene by being, pretending that I was assaulted.
Yeah, June it up. I get it. What's the next question?
Stop with the Jew shit. I'm going to kill myself
You're right.
and you.
Two Jews with one stone.
If you could flee the
David
country.
slays Goliath. Twice. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
If you had to flee the country, where would you go?
I guess it would depend.
I'm going to add this. Why would you be fleeing the country?
Right, I guess it depends why I'd be fleeing the country. Probably,
Probably from jerking off in trains, right?
Probably a lot of the public indecency charges. I mean, when I say clear a bus, I'm not discriminate about whether or not it's a public transport or a school bus. So probably those charges. And I don't know, I've heard that there are a lot of places in the Caribbean that are good for that just hide millionaires and billionaires who have child sex trafficking rings. So probably there.
Oh, God.
And it's easy. I can, it's 90 miles from southern Florida to Cuba. So.
Okay, I'd go to France because I'm obsessed with it and everyone knows that. What gets too much attention from the news?
I don't know, coronavirus. No, I don't know.
Yeah, you do have a huge problem with that. I would say
celebrity. I don't
influencers.
Know. Yeah, sure.
Because I do not care about any of their lives or anything that's going on, and I don't even really think they should be qualified. I know they're the new celebrity of this generation, but it's just you can't. Does it count if you're a celebrity if literally now thousands of people are becoming celebrities and everything is so niche?
I'll tell you what gets too much news: all this human-centric stuff. No one's reporting on the lizard people controlling our society.
Don't get me started on lizards.
Oh yeah.
Shouldn't have brought that up.
I noted today because Jessica
has a lizard, as you guys may or may not know. His name is Peaches. He's on all the fan art. And by fan art, I mean art I made. But,
yeah, I was going to say, I'd love to see some Peachy fan art. I actually was going to make a card for my family for the quarantine, like kind of like a get well soon joke card.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I was going to put...
A little macabre, but it's funny.
Well, and I was going to put Peaches, like he was going to be the...
They wouldn't like that.
No, they'd hate it, but I would make one for Michael's, my brother specifically. That was like my lizard.
What's his last name? What's his home address? Do you have his social security number?
No, I barely even know mine.
So, well, prove that you do. I bet you don't. No, so,
I have my entire credit card memorized, if you want to hear that.
Stop what you're doing. Jessica, you're going to dox yourself. So, the point I was making was that Jessica, now that she has a lizard, follows, 90 different Instagram accounts that are dedicated to lizards. And Jessica has a blue-tongued skink, and occasionally one of those pages, some of them I think are dedicated just to skinks, and some of them will just have skinks pop up on them. Yeah. And every single time Jess shows me one, and dear reader, they all look exactly the same as Jessica's skink, Peaches, and as each other.
No.
They're identical. It's like any other lizard. Like you see 100 of them, you go, yeah. It's like pigeons on the street. They all look exactly the same.
Nope.
So
not even close.
Jessica always shows me, or ducks in a pond.
No.
Shows me these pictures of lizards that look just like Peaches, and she always goes, this one's nose is too wide, this one's tail is too short, this one's scales are too gray, this one, and all she's saying is, Peaches doesn't look like this. No. Let me tell you, this one's arms are too fat because Peaches' arms are skinnier. She thinks that the first skink she ever saw in her life and that she happened to buy is the Vitruvian Man of skinks. It's the paragon of skink beauty.
Here's the thing, you stupid whore. Peaches is the most beautiful skink anyone has ever laid eyes on, okay? Let's get that started.
So any skink who has a tail a quarter of a centimeter shorter, their tail's too short.
Stumpy little
Anyone
idiot.
that's their nose is a little pointier than Peaches, its nose is too pointed. They're not supposed to look like that.
Yeah, gross. Peaches
as if there's like an ideal breeding with a shepherd, like there's an ideal breeding image and picture, like with a German shepherd or a Doberman.
Listen, there are different...
There's no lizard
Can you stop? There are different skink patterns. So, like, people, crossbreed the skinks to get them to look a certain way, and the ones that are bred to look a certain way are thousands of dollars. So, clearly, you're wrong and you're stupid. They all look really different.
Peaches was not thousands of dollars. What does that tell you?
Peaches, I need to call the supplier because Peaches was on a clearance sale. So, I want to make sure that there's nothing wrong with him.
It's like you got a lizard at building 19 and a half.
I don't know what that means. What am I referencing?
There are these stores called like building 55 and 3/4 and whatever, 19 and a half, where they sell like retail.
Counterfeit?
No, not counterfeit. It's just retail that big stores couldn't sell because they got them and they were like dented cans of paint or brush with the handle that was broken off a little bit. So you get really cheap prices, and the retailers get to unload merchandise that would otherwise be unable to sell.
When I bought him, he had cuts all over his head and back, and I was like...
So then why did you buy him?
Because he was the only skink that was there that was the breed of skink that I wanted.
He's a sweet boy.
And I asked the guy, and I was like, oh, he has cuts, and the guy was like, oh, they're fine. So he very much downplayed what happened, and I think he suggested, like, oh, maybe it had, like, a fight with another skink or something, but... I'm going to ask my brother, because he was there when I bought Peaches. I want to ask him if we addressed that at all, but they were all, like, the vet said they were all surface wounds. He had, like, a small kink in his tail, so, like, Peaches definitely had lived a life. He's kind of a rescue skink,
yeah,
but...
he's a street skink.
Yeah.
He was feral.
Yeah.
And then he was brought in,
But he has scarring on the top of his head, so he doesn't look perfect, and I recognize the fact that his head could for sure be smoother. But Peaches is a gorgeous skink.
Jessica has horns on one side of her head.
I do, that's true. On the right side of my head, there are two very distinct bumps, and one of them is actually caved in. And
in that little valley, there's a groove. If you feel it, you can't really see it because of her hair, but if you feel it, there's the engraving of the number 6 three times. Yep. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
it's freaky stuff.
The rest of it is true, but anyway. Peaches is glorious, and all the skinks that I show you are stumpy or stupid looking or too snaky and whatever.
You basically show me 3 different pictures of Peaches a day.
No.
And then go, this one's disgusting. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I wasn't your lizard.
Also, I don't say it like that. I think all animals are beautiful and sweet. It just,
No,
you know.
no.
It did have a stumpy tail. I was like, oh, look at that stumpy
Look at
little
this
tail.
stupid idiot with his gross stumpy tail. That's exactly, that's verbatim what you say.
I didn't call it gross.
You did. You call him gross and disgusting and stupid and look at this moron. Look at how stupid this dumb, gross, dumb moron
idiot.
Lizard idiot is.
Grow
dumb.
a tail much?
Exactly. This is the sort of thing you do say. You're laughing and joking. I mean, I don't care. I don't think the lizards are getting their feelings hurt. I don't think they care about cyberbullying.
Exactly. The lizards don't care.
But don't pretend like you don't say that stuff. Like,
also,
I'm crazy for suggesting that happens.
Lizards, like, that's like saying every single dog, like every single German Shepherd looks exactly the same. They absolutely don't. I can tell the tigers apart at the zoo. Easily. Anyway. So, I think you just have to see into their heart, and then you can see. So, anyway, let's see what else we got. Do you have any weird goals?
To get to the end of this conversation.
Do you want to stop? We can end it.
No, we're in too deep. We're already in too deep.
Time check, dear readers.
It's the end of time. This has been going on for infinity. It's 1:50 a.m., dear reader.
If you could get the truth... Well, I tried to, paraphrase, because I was like, ugh, that sounds too long to write, and then I...
Shorthand, yeah.
But I tried to write it short, but I didn't, I just reworded it in a really incoherent way. If you could get the truth for any question, what would it be?
What was this question supposed to be?
It was supposed to be...
No, that's what I would ask.
Oh.
The great mystery in life. What the fuck did this actually say?
Let me see if I could...
Before, when it wasn't this... babble.
Do I have any weird dreams or goals? Thanks for asking.
Do you? For any of these questions, feel free to answer.
Being a reptile breeder is a pretty weird one.
Oh my god.
A weird dream. I mean, your weird dream or goal would be to live on another planet, I feel like.
Or be upon death launched into the sun.
Yeah. You have like a weird... You keep coming up with weird hobbies that I don't know about, even though we've been dating for like 6 years. Like... your stand-up situation, like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I do stand-up comedy, and I was like,
talk about that on the pod. They don't deserve to know about my life.
Okay. If I could get the truth for any question, I would ask. I'm bringing up quarantine because it's very brief, but the whole thing where they're like, oh, we're gonna keep taking 2-week points and like telling you like we're just extending it, and I understand it's because people don't know what's going on. Yeah. But other people have been like, oh, it's because if the government was, like, honest with you guys and they really told you it was going to be, like, maybe a full year, people would go crazy and there'd be mayhem and people would start looting in the streets. And I was like, that's not how government is supposed to operate, though. You can't just be, like, afraid of the people that you're serving and be like, oh, they can't handle the truth, so let's just lie to them. Like, that's not how governments operate.
Let's blow up Parliament, baby.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's extremely...
Welcome to the world.
I don't think that's the way it is,
lying
though.
To people. Well... That's sweet of you to say.
Oh, God. Oh.
Good God. Would you like a ride to junior prom?
Thank you. Speaking of which, what do you miss most about being a kid? My mental health.
Boy, I was going to say probably, I mean, I was in the best shape of my life.
What?
Like 4th to 5th grade.
What?
Yeah, I was squatting like 380. I was just flush with cash. I mean, dripping in pussy. It was just all of it. You know, the whole... I had a fucking city under my thumb, Jess.
Okay, another question.
I was moving $3.5 million of coke a month.
Speaking of cities, if given 1,000 acres of land, what would you do with it?
Cocoa trees.
Okay.
Pick the leaves, grind them into a paste. Turn that paste into powder. You can shove it up a hooker's butt and fuck her in the ass. You don't need poppers for that.
You're getting real weird today.
Sorry, I'm a little high.
Maybe you're just coming down from it because you seem a little snippy. A little snip-snappity.
Well, that's...
Like, I know you're mad at me about the whole juice thing, but goddamn.
Mad doesn't do it justice, Jessica.
Okay.
There's a deep sense of I want to say loathing. Just towards you and your people. There is a sense of injustice.
Okay.
Permeating everything you do and say. A hypocrisy.
Okay.
If you will.
I've never claimed to be a good
person.
Partner.
Yeah, no. What's your next question?
What is something that most people... What's that word? Well, whatever.
Are these Mad Libs? Are you filling these in as you're going? This is impressive if you're doing this improvisationally.
What is something that most people learn only after it's too late? I feel like we're way too young to be answering this question with any sort of authority, but...
No, what terrible an idea it is to agree to do a podcast with your girlfriend.
You knew how terrible an idea it would be. This is why it took you, like,
no.
a year to say yes.
I knew it would be terrible. I didn't know it would be this terrible.
You have the power to also shape this. You just keep saying that all the decisions are
Jessica,
mine.
I'm the EP.
You're saying...
This is my show.
No, listen.
My name is on the marquee.
You told me, you were like, Jess, you need to be the one to pick a topic for the podcast.
I
So
never said that. Yeah,
yes,
I
you
did say
did.
that. And what did you do? You floundered and you failed.
Exactly.
Jessica, my name is on the marquee. I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
You're telling David Letterman that he has some control over shaping Late Night with David Letterman.
So I would say, I don't know, the advice that I always hear is like, oh, like, just be happy with what you have because blah, blah, blah. And, you know.
How is that coming too late?
Because I hear it and I don't agree with it. So I'll probably, like, when I'm 60, I'll be like, oh, they were right. So.
I would say, apparently in the state of Massachusetts, where I'm from, at least in the early part of the 2000s, you could only get an abortion up to 16 weeks. Really wish someone had told me that before week 17. Would have been great. But here we are.
If you could create a law, what would it be?
I would extend abortions retroactively in Massachusetts well past 17 weeks.
I'm doing pretty good timing with these questions. They're really flowing into each other.
Yeah, you're a real, who's that woman that Oprah dated? Gail something? Mm-hmm. She does interviews.
Gail Anonymous?
You're a real Barbara Walters.
I don't...
Interviews.
That means.
Interview questions.
If I could create I would obviously end animal abuse, but...
You have to finish the question before answering it, Jess. No one knows what you're talking about.
What?
Oh, is this the same question you just asked me?
If I could create a law.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Which of your personality traits do you think has been the most useful? I feel like you'd like that question.
Oh, probably my whopping penis.
That's not a personality trait. Also, whopping is a weird...
Yeah.
My whopping dick.
Yeah. Paralyzingly large.
Yeah. I've never experienced that. Maybe paralyzingly large for an ant, but...
Well, you really get right down to business, huh? You really know how to cut a man to his heart.
Your heart is normal size, which is nice, but...
You don't know. You know how big my heart is. It's bleeding right now.
It can't be any smaller.
Ouch! My sweet baby heart.
So are you going to answer it? What did you say?
My personality trait?
Yeah.
Probably my restraint and self-control and patience and ability to not bludgeon you to death with that pan right there.
I would say my sense of humor.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very funny.
Oh, that's your best?
Yeah, I have a very good...
Oh, God, just kill yourself. End it. That's
funny, and I take everything in life as one big, pleasant joke.
No, your life is a joke. That's a different thing.
I can just laugh everything off, everything just rolls right off of me, because I just bring a sense of humor to every situation.
Things roll off you because you weigh 415 pounds.
Wow, really coming hot.
Yeah, this is what happens.
Wow, we're making bad
This is what you
now.
get when you don't get me my juice.
I do need to start working out again, because this is getting ridiculous. Anyway...
You look very distinguished, like Haystacks Calhoun.
God, you make these weird...
Look it up, dear reader.
You're like, it's...
He was a wrestler in the 60s or 70s. He weighed 600 pounds.
We were born in the 90s.
So?
Like, what do you do? It's just,
you
make these
world
references...
history started in 2003?
I'm just saying you make these references
when you came
that your
online,
peers do not understand.
You don't know what my peers are.
Okay, you don't have any. If you could change 3 things about your country, what would they be?
I'd deport you, I'd build the wall.
Oh my God.
And then I'd send SEAL Team 6 to come after you, wherever you were deported to.
That's nice, sweetie. I would fire Trump, then I would kill Trump.
And then you'd marry Trump. I know this game. One of them is Eric, one of them is Don, one of them is Don Jr. You figure it out. Just, my God, you don't get anything.
Yeah, so I'll just start laughing next time.
Yeah, try that.
I'll just laugh. I would change Trump, I would change animals, and I would get rid of democracy. I don't like it. I don't need it.
You sound a lot like Hitler.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hitler also
I bet-
defended against Trump.
I bet the kids whoever bullied Hitler in school felt mighty awkward 50 years later.
Why?
Like, oh, that might have been my fault, kind of.
Oh.
Ooh, whoops. My bad, guys. Maybe if I just been a little nicer to him.
Man,
I bet they were Jewish.
Well,
I bet they really lit a fire under his ass,
maybe
and he's
if
like,
he
I can do that right back.
practiced with paintbrushes more, he wouldn't have
Wow.
been so vulnerable to
Wow.
bullies. Yeah.
Van Gogh painted for 30 years, and then he just killed himself. He was very unsuccessful. He didn't end up trying to genocide an entire group of people for it.
One of my greatest sadnesses is knowing that Van Gogh died without ever having had any success.
Yeah. A lot of Emily Dickinson.
Like, who got all the money for his shit, too? His family? Or just did it just
His
go
brother, I think, survived him. So I don't know.
That would be the
would guess
best
him.
feeling of my life if that, at any point in time, even if after death, if, like, my dad got sent all of my money for all of the amazing things I've done, and he told me...
Like Anne Frank.
Well, that's a little different.
Yeah, her father published her journal.
That's very sweet, but that's... The thing is, her father found her journal and then thought, this is important and this is valuable, wherein my father would never have those thoughts about anything I produce.
Yeah, he hates you.
Yeah, so it would just be the best fuck you to show... I mean, really everyone in my family, because no one supports me at all.
Yeah.
My grandmother keeps throwing money at me because she just feels so bad that I'm going nowhere in life.
Yeah, but that's nice. She also throws money at your brother.
Not as much.
Oh.
But no, she does, you're right. My grandmother throws money at all of the grandkids, but she specifically says to me while she throws the money out, please use this while you don't have a job, because...
You have a job.
I know, but even when I do have a job, she just goes, oh,
Right,
I'm just so sorry for you.
What are you gonna do?
Even though I'm also the only one out of the 4 grandchildren that has a remotely stable living situation and a steady relationship.
Listen,
that I'm
Jessica,
happy
this
in,
is...
but
What
whatever.
are you turning this into?
I'm just saying.
Stop it. Stop. Leave your brother and cousins alone.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Stop it.
She needs to back off.
No, leave your grandmother alone, too. She's... Just stop it. She's handing you a lot of money.
No,
That's her sin.
She is.
Please read the next question.
I'm just saying it makes me feel bad about myself.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
There are plenty of other reasons why you should be feeling bad
Hear
about
that,
yourself.
Grandma? Screw you.
That should not be the reason you have low self-esteem. What
fighting
is
right
next
now.
on the docket?
Interesting. Please tell me an interesting thing that you have read or seen this week.
I feel like I do a lot of that on the pod.
Well, I mean, you haven't really brought up anything so far, because we've just been doing my list of questions.
I meant like every day on the pod, so I don't have a lot. But
Today's just blending.
I saw again another slow news day for all things not coronavirus, basically. But
I saw your little jellyfish on the news.
Yeah, well, I showed it to you.
No, I know, but I saw it again independently.
Oh, fun!
Someone else did it, and I was like, I know that already.
Fun. I saw an article that said 5 different type of penis shapes, and apparently one of them was like an isosceles triangle, and I'm like, people don't have penis shape. I thought when I glanced,
can you send that to me?
when I glanced, there are no pictures.
Are you kidding? Do they have descriptions?
Yeah, but they're not graphic or anything,
Can
and
you send it to me?
they're not anatomically correct. I
really
think.
would like to read it.
One of them was like, oh yeah, like a banana, like it's thin and then it gets really thick in the middle, then thins back out. I'm like, I mean, I guess, but you're basically just, I mean, I don't know. So one of them was,
you're not really accounting
one of them
for
was that it comes to a point like an isosceles triangle, like it's
I've seen
thick
those.
at the base, and those don't really.
Oh, like the penis itself, like the
yes,
whole. Okay.
The whole dick, not the head of the dick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we not accounting for the head?
No, the whole dick is like an isosceles triangle. Like that sucks. When I skimmed the article, I was like, oh, this is like 5 different animal type dicks. Assuming that would be like an aardvark or something.
Thing,
yeah. But no, it's humans.
I
so
want to read
weird.
that.
I also
I mean, dicks do, like, I always am surprised with how much variety there is in the human body. Like, dicks come in so many different shapes and sizes, and none of it matters anatomically, obviously.
I learned about
okay.
I learned about the Tiger King, Exotic Joe. Right, there's allegations or rumors that there's a flash drive somewhere or picture somewhere of him doing stuff with some of the animals in a sexual manner, so that
does not surprise me
that
at
wigged
all.
me out a bit.
It saddens me, but
I don't know what animals, but
I mean, I don't know how to say this tactfully. I would hope it was a primate.
you're right. You didn't know how to say that tactfully.
Just because obviously, like...
I am gay as shit.
No, broke as shit.
I'm broke as shit. Not changing the way I dress.
I'm a kinky motherfucker.
I have had some kinky sex. I've done drugs in my past.
Yep,
He's a weird dude.
He is, and, weird is fine, but he's also a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well,
Like, that would be another thing I'd change about this country. I would kill Joe Exotic immediately.
exotic chow. Okay, what's the next question?
What's the most spontaneous thing that you've ever done?
Oh. They probably wouldn't make it onto the pod.
I plan everything very meticulously.
Well.
No, I mean, going to Egypt was pretty spontaneous.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, well, we're already going to Greece and maybe Turkey. Egypt's right there, just across a sea.
But we have to buy tickets tomorrow.
Screw it. Let's see if we can make it work.
I remember
let's take 9 flights in 15 days. Whatever.
We planned that once I had already made a full calendar of the other trips that we were taking, and I was just like, okay, I guess I have to erase whatever so that we can fit Egypt in. Yeah, that was cool. That was pretty spontaneous and pretty big.
That was pretty spontaneous. Spontaneous.
I saw the question, how did you find out Santa isn't real? And then it just brought me back to the Gremlin story.
Oh yeah, my dad came careening down the chimney and then cried and shat his pants as soon as he hit the ground.
Dear readers,
and his ankles popped and shot out of the sides of his legs.
If you only listen
around
to one of our podcasts, that should be the one that you listen to.
It's called The Great Gremlin Gambit. I think it's episode 17, maybe 16.
Rob with the Rain Man skills over here.
I name the episodes.
Yeah, but you also, again, remember them vividly.
Because I pay attention.
Okay, Rob. Okay. What trait do you wish you could have? I know you have a very intense theory that you don't like to do things like that.
I wouldn't call it a theory necessarily.
You have a very intense belief that you don't like to dwell on the things that you don't have, but...
Well, I mean, I think it's important that people generally relax,
Sure.
And
but also...
And don't worry. And it was like when I was in Hawaii. Yeah. When I was in Hawaii, you should have no worries. When I was in Hawaii 10 years ago, I remember what I was told by a native islander.
I'm so sick. Meaning what?
That was just his name.
Okay.
And he told me, don't worry. I'll never forget that.
Okay.
His middle name.
What was the question?
That was his dog's
what
name.
trait do you wish you could have?
It's a
You're
schnauzer.
just not going to go with that.
Oh, I don't know. I'd love to see in the dark a little better.
Oh, yeah, you go right for the fantasy traits.
Well, I don't see why it has to be a fantasy. Some people can see in the dark. Although I can see in the dark pretty well. So
Yeah, you can. You never turn on the lights in our house like a fucking goblin.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. I like me.
Okay.
What about you?
You should have aspirations, I feel like.
I have aspirations, but they're not like things I would change if I could wave a magic wand.
What trait do I wish I could have? Probably be a little bit...
I like me. My customers like me. Planes, trains, and automobiles, you're not going to get the reference.
You just cut me off
I'll stop
whenever
right now.
you can, really.
What would you want to do with a genie's magic wish?
I'd be more empathetic, I think. That'd be the trait that I would change. Because, again, I don't see why you always cut me off and then yell at me for cutting you off, but whatever.
You're right. You aren't empathetic. You're correct.
I hate you and I don't understand any of your problems or qualms, so...
Yeah.
What would I wish for a genie? What?
No. Never mind. Go ahead. What's the next question?
I wish for a man with 7 holes.
No, 7 mouths. Well, I guess those are holes.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Okay.
Mouth is
and
a
then
hole.
the last question.
Would you have 7 buttholes?
Would I?
If you had the opportunity to septuple your number of buttholes. How many times has this happened to you, dear reader? You find yourself. Yep.
Would have as many buttholes as possible because I just go like I shred them up so quickly.
You'd be gross. You'd be like Argus
Sure.
of Greek mythology. You had 100 eyes.
Yes.
You'd have just buttholes covering your body. You'd just be one
Well,
system of buttholes.
they'd be well.
My question was not anything to do with this. My question
they'd
was.
be in a line, like a vertical line in my butt crack, so it wouldn't be.
So you shitting would look like the wall of a car wash.
Well, it would only come out of one hole at a time, right? Maybe like only
Jessica,
one
what do
would
you
be
mean
in
right?
use.
Why are you asking me?
Wouldn't that?
Like I could possibly be an authority on this. They'll go down your spine like vertebrae
No, it would start from the top of my butt crack
and go up.
and then go down. But there'd still be a healthy distance between vag and butthole. Obviously.
Okay, so you'd be like a Spinosaurus or something with buttholes.
Again, there's no buttholes on my spine.
For
Just
okay.
tailbone down.
That okay, fine. So fine. It would be like a tail. So
Yes.
of buttholes.
Yep.
So I mean, have fun wiping that, I guess.
Again, I think only one would be active at a time.
Right, but you'd still. I'm
Sure,
not.
how would I know? I'd feel it.
My question was, would the man with 7 mouths also have 7 buttholes? I wasn't asking you how you would align your 7 chakra to line up with your assholes.
I'm in love with you. I don't give a shit about my man's buttholes.
Tell me about it.
He can.
I can attest to that.
He can have 50. He can have 1. I don't care. They do not dissuade me.
E pluribus unum. E pluribus anum. Out of many, butthole.
Okay. Anyway, favorite. Ugh, whatever.
You're drawing buttholes, it looks like. You've been doodling absentmindedly, and you've drawn like 15 buttholes across your page. What are you doing?
Oh my god, they do look a little butthole-y.
Yeah, they look into. Okay.
I basically drew, like, I literally took lines and then crossed them and then crossed them and then crossed them so they looked like a little star. But I did it so much
And
that
you used brown ink. What was that about?
Okay, that's...
Gross.
Okay.
Was it scratch and sniff?
What would your role... I don't know why I don't go in order. What would your role be in a zombie apocalypse? Apocalypse.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Apoca is not a word.
So what would your role be?
Probably zombie number 6 or something.
Oh, okay.
Patient 0? I
On
don't
the dark
know.
side.
Well, I mean, in most zombie apocalypse, gotcha. Apocalypsesia, apocalypsums, I see. In most apocalypsorums, there's not really much organization. It's like, oh, there are a bunch of guys with skulls and crossbones on the front of their Harley motorbikes, and they just ride around the Badlands,
the groups are
shooting
usually
people with sawed-off shotguns.
pretty tiny.
So it's not usually like, oh, what my role be like? Oh, I'd be the secretary of the interior. Like, no, there's not.
No, but like,
I'd be the postmaster general. There's nothing.
No,
like
okay.
that.
So usually, like the apocalypse movies, I feel like it's like a group in less than 6, probably, of less than 6.
Yeah.
So in that
Thereabouts.
group, you have the one that like, oh, they've been, shooting guns all their life and they're trained for this, and then you have like the sad, weak, scared one, and then you have the one that once they get bitten, they would just lie because they're kind of sneaky.
So there's
There are
brain,
roles.
there's brains, there's looks,
There's brawn.
there's muscle, there's wild card.
Wait, you're just quoting Philadelphia.
Yeah, we saw
Always Sunny.
we saw an episode of Always Sunny wherein they
Yeah.
had a structure of. I'd probably
watch more of
be.
Right now.
I'd. We can if you want. We can
Quit the pot.
end this fucker a little early.
No.
I'd probably be like I don't know, like a storyteller, like a griot who would preserve tales of from the before time.
How's that going?
Don't get me fucking started. I swear.
We can save it for next pod if you want, but
because I don't want to
Sure.
even dignify this by saying, oh, this deserves its own 25 minutes. It doesn't.
No, I also I agree with you. Like, I don't want to bring it up every day because I don't like how much is going to happen between now and tomorrow.
So for those of you who don't listen regularly, dear reader,
good for you.
Yeah,
you shouldn't.
Congrats. I wish that I didn't have to do this so regularly either, but
I'm just happy to be here.
there's I'm researching the theory that when I started I said was probably 99.9%. Privately in my head I thought there's 99.9% chance that this didn't happen like this or didn't happen at all. Mm-hmm. That Mansa Musa, famous king of Mali, his predecessor left him the crown because he disappeared into the Atlantic with 2,000 ships. His predecessor did. Abu Bakr II, or Abu Bakari, depending on what sources you. Anyway,
Can't even get his fucking name right.
he went into it's certain Arab transliterations and Arabic. So anyway, it doesn't matter. He went into the Atlantic Ocean with 2,000 or 3,000 ships, depending on, again, translation issues, and was never heard from again. And some people think that he found the New World, that his fleet or part of it landed in what?
Or he found Buddha.
No, Brazil would have been
Buddha.
So anyway, Jess is confused, but so that's the theory. When I heard it, I thought it was probably 99.9% definitively not true, and I thought I can't disprove it, so I can't say it's 100%. But I've looked into it.
So he set off into disproving it.
Well, or something. I've looked into it, and I'm probably now at like 99% flat that it didn't happen.
Ooh.
I guess it's possible, but what
that it never he never left the shore.
Yeah, I mean so there's no. Africa actually has a lot of forms of writing, a lot of writing forms and languages that are distinct from each other, whereas Europe doesn't have that many. Europe has a Cyrillic alphabet. Europe has some Celtic lettering and some Norse runes, but most of those are kind of out of vogue now and haven't been around for a while. But I mean, they still exist, and history of them exists. But other than that, there's not German doesn't have its own alphabet. Italian, Spanish doesn't have its own alphabet. Swedish doesn't have its own alphabet.
Like all the African countries have their own alphabets too?
A lot of these, there are dozens or maybe even hundreds of writing systems that are distinct in.
Oh, God.
So anyone...
Well, I guess Egyptians had very distinct.
Right, so people say that there's no written history in Africa, but the simple fact of the matter is that from Alexandria to Timbuktu, they had these enormous libraries with writings the first paper ever was papyrus in Egypt. And they had writing on paper and papyrus and scrolls and books and on calendars and on pottery and carved in clay and carved into stone even.
They loved words.
And they were all systematically destroyed by European colonizers. So
great.
The tradition of the griot is one that has sprung up and been solidified as a matter of necessity.
How sad is that?
But the problem with it is that a lot of them, and most researchers, I've been reading a lot of articles about the fundamental flaws and limitations of an oral history, is that a lot of griots they don't consider themselves preservers of data and hard facts and numbers. It's more like a tradition that's being preserved.
That's
so
usually
if
what oral...
Abu Bakari disappeared with 24 ships, well, maybe that doesn't sound as good as 2,000. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean...
And also, I've read... Okay.
Sorry.
Jessica's cracking open a beer. Beer number 3 so far tonight. Which wouldn't be that bad, but they're 40 ounces. So
did you see that Conan posted something and he was like, "Can we just suspend the rules of what being an alcoholic means during quarantine because we just need to." I would love to do a drunk podcast. I think that would be really terrible, but I'm up for it.
I'm not going to stop you. I've got my red Solo cup right here.
I'm just saying, next podcast maybe I can be drunk.
Sure. We'll see how that goes.
Sure.
So, anyway, I'm finding that the problem with... there are a lot of articles. I read an article a couple days ago. Might have even been yesterday. I don't really remember because I'm reading a lot of them and they kind of blend into each other. But one of them said there was this woman who went to... I think it's in modern-day Mali. Went to a ceremony where they were resizing and rebuilding the... a gravestone memorial for a very old ancestor of theirs who was from the 1430s or something. So we had a memorial and they were making it bigger, but they wanted to make sure they didn't make it too big because traditions dictate that that's a sign of hubris or something.
Sure.
So they said that this was...
rules back then.
Well, this was in 2008.
Oh.
So they said, or 2012, something like that. So they said that they had done this every year for 20 years, but she knew for a fact, she knew people lived in the village and she had been there before many times, and she lived in the area for 3 years or something when she was getting her doctorate. So say this took place in 2012, she knew for a fact that it took place once in 2009 and then once before in 2008. So they did it once in 2008 when they made this grave, and then again the next year, and then they didn't do it for 2 years in a row, and then they did it this year, 2012, and said they'd been doing it every year for 20 years to legitimize their assertion that they had rights to claim land in the area because property prices and worth value was going way, way, way up because like electricity and internet and water and all these other utility services have been installed in the area.
Okay.
So property prices were like tripling.
Okay.
In like a 3-year span. So they were trying to assert that they had, like to the government or something, a right to claim the land or parts of the land. And so they had, to legitimize that, they'd said that this ceremony was a yearly tradition every 20 years. And the griots agreed with that. It's all political. It's all what you can pay a griot to say. It's what, like, they exist as like a form of validation for a lot of land dispute claims and financial claims and, you know, tribal history that overlaps into stuff like this. So the history is very biased.
Sure.
And it's biased. Like, you could say, oh, well, this history was biased when it was written, but it's written down, and whatever the bias was, that bias hasn't changed. And the griot, that changes 100 times in 100 years. Like, it flips and flops and flips. Whoever's paying them that week, that's the person that they're telling the story that's favorable for them.
Oh my God, as I've said, it's like a really terrible, hundreds and hundreds of year-long game of telephone.
Yeah, so...
With influences...
Yeah, with people who have skin in the game. Also,
probably from so many different people, too. Like,
so I'm going to start shifting my focus away from West Africa and towards Eastern South America, where they would have supposedly landed. It's also possible that they landed somewhere like Cape Verde, but I figure if that was the case, then they would have turned back or kept going, one way or the other. So that's what I've been working on, and that's the progress that it's made. Frustrating and very barely illuminating. But it's the more I read about it, the more I think that it's definitely possible and extremely implausible, but definitely possible that this could have happened. It's just there's no evidence. But I've seen people say, like, oh no, I'm dismissing it out of hand because there's no way that a boat that they would have made could have made it across the Atlantic, but that's just not true. Like, the more I look into it, the more I think, oh no, they had big sailboats and they had canoes that could hold 100 people and were like 80 feet long. And even beyond that, they had big, like, the first sailboats ever made were made well before Christ in Egypt, like in the African continent. And they sailed up and down the Niger River, and they had seafaring boats, and there are people who have kayaked across, like old men who have kayaked across the Atlantic in the past 10 years. And Columbus's biggest ship was like, I don't know, 70 feet on deck or something.
Yeah, pretty small.
Yeah, the Pinta and the Nina both had a crew of 20 people.
What?
Yeah.
I knew they were small. I knew one of the ships was really smaller than the rest, but I didn't know 20 people. That seems...
The Nina and the Pinta were both relatively small, about the same size. And the Santa Maria. Santa Clara was the Nina, but the Santa Maria, which was Columbus's ship, the one he was on at least, was about twice the size of those. But I think the entire expedition was 100 men, including Columbus. Or 104 men, something like that.
Weird.
So, and that's split between 3 boats. So the biggest one had like 50 men on it. So to say that it's impossible, especially because the prevailing current in that part of in all the Atlantic really would have just pushed them. Men. Like the current and the winds that are always prevailing in that part of the Atlantic off the coast of West Africa, like the Canary Islands, like the currents and winds that push Columbus, probably would have pushed them to Brazil in like 4 weeks. Yeah. Columbus made his voyage in 5 weeks. Yep. Not knowing where he was going either. Yep. Think he was going to get, just like them, that he was going to get to the other side of the ocean. So anyway, the more I read about it, the more I think, yeah, it's possible, but what evidence is there that it actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, I wish you luck in getting your answers. I think South America would be probably a good place to check.
That's where I'm going. I've emailed some archaeologists, but I don't think I'm going to reach her because she's 87 and probably retired by now. Oh. Or maybe dead, I don't know.
Yikes. And also, I don't know how important a computer is to an old lady.
Well, I mean, she has like a website listed, but the problem is that she, her theory is that Africans have been on the coast on the South American continent for a long, long time, but her theory is talking about like Africans getting there in like 20,000 BC or something crazy, which it doesn't help me, and I don't know that I can align myself with that sort of. Maybe you could argue like, oh, there used to be a land bridge somewhere, and so but I don't know that there's any evidence to suggest that that's really possible, like a dugout or even just like a serendipitous empty tree trunk would have floated someone 2,000 miles. So that I don't know, but I haven't really talked to her. It seems like she doesn't speak any English either, so we're going to see how that goes.
Well, you speak Spanish.
Brazil is not a Spanish-speaking country. I don't speak any Portuguese, so...
Yeah, that's a problem.
But Google Translate might see me through it, so
I also didn't know where she was from specifically, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I spoke with people, like French people, and I just Google Translated and it was fine. Anyway, yeah, cool. Did you do any show prep for today?
I did a couple things, but we're out of time. We're approaching 50 minutes, so I can just save them for tomorrow. Ugh. Anything you want to leave them with? Any fun little Like a fact of the day or
I
something?
mean, we could do a devil's advocate. I just don't know if you have any.
That's
Wait,
supposed
you said
to...
you had a couple last time. Why don't you do one?
Well, because those are supposed to be longer bits. Those are
Oh,
supposed
they
to...
are? I thought they were supposed to be...
Those are supposed to be able to carry us like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm trying to wrap up. Like, do you have anything that you can tell them in like 30 seconds or less?
Well, look, I know that I was the one that led the show today, so if you didn't like it, fuck you, and don't tell me.
Fuck you.
I don't want to hear it.
Fuck you.
I really tried.
Fuck you.
Also, if you want to leave a comment about how much you hated it, or hate any of our videos, feel free to do so. Robert is the only one that checks them for right now, so,
That's very true. We have hello to Tom. He's the only person who's commented more than once on any of our videos.
The one that I saw was very supportive, so.
He seems to like what we're doing. God knows
Tom,
why.
we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's really all I have.
I read a fun fact, but I don't remember it off the top of my head anymore. God, what was it?
Good radio.
What was it even about? Jess? No, I don't need.
I want to, while you think about it, I hopefully will be able to bring Peaches back in at some point soon. He's been sleeping for like a week straight in the same exact position. I check on him twice a day to make sure he's not literally dead, but hopefully he'll be here. Hopefully I'll be drunk next time I talk to you guys. Fucking obliterated, ideally. Rob, anything?
What do you want to get drunk off of?
Tequila.
Okay, interesting.
We don't keep a very well-stocked booze cellar thing. Pantry, I guess. Booze closet.
Liquor cabinet, Jesus Christ.
Thank you, yes.
Just naming different
My God.
alcohol nightstand. Beer.
Oh, God. That
wardrobe.
was...
I don't know.
We don't keep a very... Well, so Rob doesn't drink.
Potable dresser drawers.
Beverage containers.
Ugh.
Anyway, so Rob doesn't drink. And I truthfully barely drink. And when I do drink, I usually just go to the bar with my friends. Because I don't have the talent or the want, frankly, to make my own fancy drinks and, the whole thing. But I think we have like a couple cans of beer at any given time. We have a bunch of wine bottles. Maybe that's what I'll get drunk off of. I'm not a big fan of wine because it makes me fall asleep, and also it takes a little bit too long to get drunk, so I'm usually more of a shot person. But either shots of tequila, shots of Kraken rum, or wine that I got from my job. Maybe something nice, something rosé-ish, something sparkling. We'll see. We'll see where the night takes us.
Do you know turkeys can fly up to 60 miles an hour? Bada
That
bing, bada
seems
boom.
fast.
It is
Actually,
fast.
I'm not gonna lie. I had the worst thought that I've ever had in my entire life the other day.
Yep.
I saw a duck flying, and I thought, I understand why people want to shoot them. Because I was like,
Jessica,
wow.
I'm trying to end the podcast on a positive light note.
Okay, well.
Now, replace that with imagine getting beamed in the head with a turkey going 60 miles an hour. Imagine a highway speed 25-pound bird
It is pretty funny.
smacking you in the face. Does that help?
Well, I mean...
See you later, pod racers.